Welcome to the Irrigation Insights Podcast, where we talk about the business of irrigation. I'm your host, Jacob.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Sure idea.
Well, welcome back. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Got a special guest with us, one of our guys that worked for us, Ethan. He came from a different company, so we got some stuff for him. I think, Jacob, you got some stuff from the Facebook group that we love so much.
Oh, yeah. It's always providing us with a bunch of entertainment.
Oh, no.
I say we get the Facebook stuff out of the way with the three of us here, and then we'll let Ethan do his little interview.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that'll work. Well, I was going to... Oh, that's nice.
That's going to be loud.
Yeah. That is a Coke. That is not cold beer.
It could be, though.
Yeah.
The people listening on Spotify won't know.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's actually it's the 12 liter of Dos Equis. They just came out with it.
Yeah.
Drinking Tall Boys, 12:20 on Friday.
Hey, it's 10:30 somewhere.
That's true. We're supposed to. Now I was gonna this post that you sent me about this guy calling this customer.
Oh my God,
Bud over and over.
Oh my God! I just had somebody just try to do that to me.
You haven't seen this one.
Mm-mm.
Pretty much. I think there's more to this story here, but pretty much there's a couple pictures here. You can read it, Ethan. But the customer just texted him saying, "How long does it take to put an estimate together, Bud?" And the technician said, "I'm waiting on some pricing. I will get it together." And the guy said, "Communication. I already have the plumbing estimate. What's yours?" And they just went back and forth. The guy kept calling him Bud, arguing with the technician. Just going back and forth pretty much.
First of all, that Bud stuff, that's not good.
There's no price quote in that screenshot, buddy.
Yeah. Just kept going.
Jeez.
I do think there is more to this story, though.
There's always more to every story, but just looking at this, like, let's say you were that guy. How would you see what the guy responded? How would you handle this?
Yeah, well, and then the customer put from one business person to another. You don't speak to customers like that. Are you aware of Yelp reviews, Bud?
I think my first response to that would be, have you ever had any of your customers say Bud to you?
Yeah, I might start using Bud back. Even Bud. Use it like 4 times in a sentence. I don't know. I don't really know how I'd respond. I mean, my question was kind of like, if you went out there on Monday and told him you're going to give him an estimate, and then it's now Friday and he's heard nothing from you, I could see why he'd be upset. It shouldn't really take that long to get an estimate together. But, not considering any of that, if you just take all that stuff out, I'd be pretty pissed off. I wouldn't work for this guy at all. I would just tell him, no, find somebody else.
Yeah, I saw the one thing in there where he just, he professionally told him, I think you need to move forward with somebody else. And then the comment after that was literally like, that's not how you talk to customers.
Yeah, no,
that was probably the most professional way to say,
that's more professional.
You're fired.
That's more professional than some of the things we say.
Yeah. The technician in the text, he didn't say anything rude or anything like that.
No, he actually was very professional about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I thought was hilarious about the post is the comments.
Oh, what are they?
What
The
people
comments are always diabolical.
Yes.
What? Yeah,
I mean, they're just savage. Like,
I think everybody said they would not work with him. They would not work with that customer. That's pretty much what everybody's saying in here.
oh, there's
All
a
these
couple.
comments are paragraphs. Dude.
Yeah, block him and move on.
Yeah. I think what I wanted to highlight by sending you this post is, like, one of the issues we ran into in the beginning is being afraid to tell people professionally to screw off. Like, we always wanted to work with every single person. And we did try to work with every single person, but some of these people, you got to understand, like, you can't work with them.
They have an idea in their head, and when it doesn't go the way they want it to, they're going to get pissed for no reason.
That was the thing I wanted to highlight by this, because we had so many customers in the beginning that we just, like, bent over backwards for, and they just ended up screwing us in the end.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think when you're starting off small, I do think it's important for you to keep your worth memorized. Like, you do have a worth. Like, you do, Because I could see a really small guy starting out like trying to bend over backwards for that guy, and all you're doing is giving that guy what he wants.
Yeah, I could see that too.
But really, he knows he's being unreasonable. He just is mad now because he knows that he just got caught.
I could see that. Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
We struggled with that a lot in the beginning because we didn't know. We don't know who to bend over backwards for. Some people you bend over backwards for and they're great, and then others you bend over backwards for them and they're just like, "No, I'm not paying you anyway."
Yeah. Yep. Well, and that's what I was gonna say about this. You can as you grow out of those problems. People like that, I don't feel like we have to deal with that much.
Not anymore. No.
I mean, they're not. As they see our vans, they see our uniforms. They don't. When they call us, they're not talking to the technician. They're talking to the people in the office. They're gonna sign we're given estimates on site if we can't, which is rare. They're gonna get it within a few days if we forget and they call in. They're not gonna go to voicemail. We'll remind whoever's supposed to send the estimate to send it out that day. All these problems get avoided as we've grown. Yep. And it just never leads to anything like this. And if they call in after 2 days of not getting the estimate and they act that way, we bounce. Nope, we're not dealing with that. Take that attitude somewhere else. Just avoid that altogether. Yeah. So I think, as you grow.
I'm kind of curious how he was during the middle of the visit, how he was acting in certain things. Because that normally, when you go to a customer for the first time, you can kind of get an idea of the kind of, way that they'll act towards certain things. And I wonder if during the visit he was kind of the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting.
There's a lot of unknowns and there's always unknowns with reading a Facebook post. That was the one thing I wanted to highlight in this podcast, because that's one of the things somebody starting off could run into, what customers you need to be trying to work harder for, essentially.
Because even if you are small, your time is still worth.
You just got to know your worth, essentially.
Yeah, don't deal with those people.
Yeah, especially if we're talking a freaking $1,200 invoice here. That's another thing. What are we talking about?
Oh, it's $3,700. Decent job, but still not worth that trouble.
Not worth the trouble of him, because that's going to be the guy at the end that's going to be upset about every little thing. I don't like the color of dirt that you use. That's the guy that's going to say something like that, and there's just nothing you can do to please him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt.
So.
Oh, and then the only other thing I wanted to highlight here was we got a message from Austin Green saying, "Hey, I just wanted to thank you and Ben for the work you're doing on the podcast. Today I closed a $4,100 job.
Let's go.
For 1 day worth of work. Last year, he would have charged $600 for a couple of hours and not offered any options. And today he closed that for $4,100.
Nice.
I'd be curious if he's listening. I'd be curious if he'd text us and show us the options that he'd offered. I'd like to see how he stepped it out. Because I imagine the way the options were stepped out is how he was able to sell it like that.
Yeah.
Just be curious.
Maybe I can ask him, see what the different options were.
That's always something interesting, especially when working here, talking to the other technicians and seeing how they option things and just how different everything is. Because you'll learn stuff from other people.
Yep.
Yeah, that's killer. $4,100 for a day's worth of work.
Yeah, and he would have bid it at $600 last year. That's how you grow.
Yep.
As the thing says on our wall in the building we just bought, that's how you stay relevant.
Yeah.
I was wondering if y'all put that in. That was here.
That was just here. I just decided to leave it.
Well, we got a special guest today. We wanted to bring Ethan in here. He actually came. He's one of our few gentlemen that came from another company and had to deal with a different kind of setup, a different set of rules, a different way of doing things. So we wanted to bring him in here, kind of ask him some questions. So tell us about your experience with your other company.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. So this other company I worked for was the first irrigation company I've worked for. And, it was another smaller company. It was literally, when I got hired, it was the owner and one other technician, and that was it. And then when I got hired on, he fired the other technician because stuff just wasn't working out with him. He would either quote things way less than really he wanted to, wasn't doing work correctly, all that kind of stuff. So just kind of normal things as you're trying to get a business up, I can imagine hiring the right people. So I got on and then started learning irrigation from him. We'd go to jobs and, I'd learn how to quote things, what we were selling stuff for, all that kind of stuff. And then shortly after that, another guy who works for us came in, started working for that guy. I don't know if you want me to mention why he came in, but
we can get in it. You can finish your story. We'll talk about him.
okay. But he started working over there just to kind of help us out because he'd been doing irrigation for a while. And just as things, we were trying to get the business to grow. Even my now wife started working for him as like a office manager almost, taking calls, scheduling appointments, stuff like that. And it got to the point where like, hey, like we were starting to get invested in the business. We want to see it grow, obviously. If there's some sort of improvement for the business, there's improvement with us as well. So as a company grows, we grow, better opportunities come forward, stuff like that. So we started, hey, maybe we should start doing this to, get out to certain places. Maybe we should start offering this to customers, that sort of thing. And almost every time we would offer him something, it would either be, I'll take a look at that, or no. Basically, sometimes it was like, no, I've already tried that and it didn't work. When we found out the ways that he was doing was not the ways we were suggesting. Like one of the things that we do that you tell us about is like communities that have like the community mailboxes where you can just kind of slide little pamphlets in or something like that. We suggested that he would do that as well. And he's like, no, I've gone door to door and gave people pamphlets or whatever, and it just never worked out. Like I never got calls. We even made like a suggestion to like, when we're slow, the houses that we're at, just go to the 2 next door neighbors, hand them a pamphlet, hand them our card, tell them about us, stuff like that. Because while we're slow, that stuff helps. And he said no to that.
That's so crazy. I wish I could get my guys to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Like
I did that once.
Really?
One time, I remember one time, I think it was 2 years ago, actually. It was right when Kelly first started. It was like the middle of July, and it was a slow day. I only had like one appointment that morning. It was in McKinney. And I got done, and I called Kelly, and she's like, well, I don't have anything else. So I took like a stack of pamphlets out of the back of my van, and I just walked away from the customer's house and started walking.
I do think I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, I started handing out pamphlets, and then you called me, and you were like, hey, I think we got something for you in Dallas. And I was like, all right, well, I'm like 3 blocks from my van right now. And you were like, sweet. Yeah. But yeah.
I don't know why you would say, no, don't do that. Like,
I mean, especially with a smaller company like that, when there's literally just 2 technicians and the owner, and that's really it. There's like,
please don't advertise for me.
Yeah, exactly. We were like, we could be doing all this stuff to help us get our name out there, all this kind of stuff. But it's like he would rather spend money on a drone shot than to buy some little pamphlets to hand out. And it was even that. We kept asking for business cards. He gave us a little stack, and that was it.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like me sometimes.
Well, you give out pamphlets.
Well, we
I
have
do
pamphlets,
brochures.
so that's kind of the same thing, but still, we didn't even have that. I had no way other than the number on our van. Like, just call that. I don't know. I don't have any business cards or anything else to hand you.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I told customers that, it was like, you don't have business cards? That's like, it's a business card for a business. I feel like that would make sense. So,
did y'all drive fully wrapped vans there, or did it just
No. So
that was the next problem.
It was vans not as big as we have. I think the van that I had was probably one of the ones like that I have now. But the one that the other technician was in was one of those small, like, I don't even know.
The transit van.
The transit vans. He somehow made it work and got everything in there. But it was Cricut cut out things that we would just plaster on the side of the van.
I do remember that.
So the van would just be completely white. He would buy completely white vans, and then we'd print it out. We literally went to the neighborhood library to print everything out. We took everything apart, put them on, and that was that. The only thing that he actually had wrapped was his truck.
Mm.
Yeah, and it was wrapped with lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you do got to start somewhere.
We drove the first one unwrapped for over a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
with nothing but a Better Business Bureau sticker on.
Yeah. What business? We don't know. Just got a sticker on it.
Yeah, you got to
that
start
sticker's
somewhere.
still under there. It just got wrapped over.
Dang.
Yeah, you always got to start somewhere, but it was just certain things where we were just trying to, I mean, not only would it help ourselves, but it would help him, obviously, and almost every idea got shot down.
Yeah, there's nothing like working for a company where you try to, they bring you in and they give you all these promises of, man, if you help us grow, it'll be better for you. And then every time you ask them, hey, how can I help you? I think this will help us grow. They're like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there was wasn't there like another problem of like demanding sales, but no like real resources for sales?
What do you mean?
Well, like pushing y'all to upgrade systems, but not being able to keep stock on the truck.
Yes. Yeah, it was very difficult. The other technician had a lot of problems with it where he would sell bigger jobs than I would. And it would be, hey, I don't have everything I need. I need to go to the supplier to go get some stuff. And he would be very picky about the certain things that we got, the brand, made sure it was the cheaper brand, not the better, or, that sort of stuff.
That's what happens when you don't factor that into your pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Give them the best thing. Like, it's so, I just had that argument with the customer, like, why is this so expensive? Of course, it was just a fault case. There's no value in that, but like, you're factoring in your prices that you're offering a product that's worth something.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just paying somebody premium to come out and just throw the cheapest thing you can find in your yard.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. When the prices fluctuate, we eat that cost most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least until we raise prices. I mean, I don't think you do kind of temporarily, but I try to stay on top of that. Prices go up, our prices. We raise prices.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always a part cost, but one of our other technicians had mentioned to me that really helped me with selling certain things is like, it would be like a valve or two next to each other are disconnected and they need to be reconnected. The wires are mixed or whatever. And I was at a job with him and I just put it together. Part of the service call, I was like, well, I just get it to work and then I can test it and then make sure, everything else looks good. And he's like, no, you should have sold that as like a wire splice. Like, if he were to do that himself, he'd have to figure out what wire goes where, how to connect it. Will he connect it properly? Does he use the right, crimping technique or put the right wire nut on it? That sort of thing. It's like, a lot of these prices, while they may be expensive in our mind or to the customer's mind, they're paying us for what we know, as well as anything we have to do to fix it.
Yeah, and the warranty too.
Mm-hmm. The warranty is a big thing, especially now that we have some prices going up. We're starting to offer bigger warranties, and customers are like head over heels for that.
Really, that's
like
good.
I
to know.
sold a Ratio the other day, and I was like, "Yeah, all of our controllers come with a 10-year warranty." And she goes, "Wow, really?" I said, "Yeah."
Heck yeah.
And she loved that, and she was like, "I'm gonna do it."
Nice, that's good. Yeah, and I've seen other companies offer. There's another. I'm not gonna call them out by name, but they have a membership. And they're like most upgraded premium membership. I told you on the meeting their premium membership comes with 90-day warranty on repair. And it's like, that's what you get, a 90-day warranty.
That's one thing that we can tell a lot of customers that I think also helps is that, this one thing we warranty, yeah, it might be a little bit expensive, but you're paying for the fact that we're going to come back if it's wrong. And it's going to be a longer warranty than a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. It's going to be an entire year. And I tell people most companies, if not all, don't even offer that, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how little some people do the warranties. There's so much value in that. Even like with the fault locate, like you were talking about, there might not be any parts to it really. Maybe a little bit of wire, but.
Yeah, but it's still backed by a 3-year warranty.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, you're going to call somebody else and it'll be like, well, I hooked it back up. And then a year later, you find out that they use the freaking cheap wire nuts that don't have dielectric grease in it. And then the freaking connections corrode. And then you're back in the same boat again.
I went to one of those the other day. A guy got a system put in like 5 years ago. None of the valves had wire nuts on them. None of them.
Or were they just taped?
No. They had nothing on it whatsoever.
Nice.
So I had to redo all the connections. I was like, yeah, whoever put the system in put no wire nuts on it and all the connections are corroded.
God. Those are the people that, you go out there and you bid a new system for like 12 grand and they go with somebody for $2,000 less.
Yeah, and then they get $2,000 less worth of
Yeah.
work.
Mm-hmm.
They get no wire nuts.
I found that crazy. I was like, what? That's insane.
Or there's companies out there that aren't even using like primer or no glue and no primer. They just
Push it together.
push it together.
I've been to those.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense because I've been to some where there's a pipe break or a fitting that's loose, and I'm like, there's like no primer, let alone glue on this thing.
Yeah, it used to be we'd run into systems that just had primer and no glue. Now it's like you don't even get
They
that
don't even
anymore.
do anything.
Yeah. Then that's the craziest thing to cut cost on. Like,
Well, because
what
they
do you
know
save?
that they know that they only got to warranty it for either 90 days or 1 year. I mean, if you push it together really hard, it probably lasts that long.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially with these new systems, you got a master valve. They don't have constant pressure on them. Just glue the master valve and stuff together, and everything else is good.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's crazy.
Nuts.
Yep. Seen people cut costs. Customers don't get that. They're just like, well, I don't understand why this costs so much. Well, if you'd seen what a cheaper price would get you, you would.
Yeah. If you've seen what we've seen.
That's another thing we tell people is that, with our warranties and stuff like that, we're going to make sure it's right because we're going to have to be back. If it breaks 2 days before your 3-year warranty is up, it's still under warranty,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
And we actually answer the phone.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's another thing that a lot of customers like as well, is that they say, oh, well, y'all were going to be out for a little bit, like especially as we start getting busier and we start, pushing people out and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, y'all answer the phone almost immediately, and I could try to call somebody else and they won't even answer.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, I tried to call backflow guys when I needed a backflow guy in a pinch, and I called like 12 different people. Nobody answered. Only one calls me back, and I just end up having to call a big plumbing company.
Mm.
And it's like, oh yeah, I got to go to the biggest plumbing company out here to get a backflow tested because no backflow guy will answer the phone.
Yeah.
And the one that do is just want to give me the runaround. It's crazy. Yeah.
They'll answer the phone like the minute that the other guy's there.
Yeah.
So how was your what would you say if I asked you what was the best thing about working for that other company and then the worst thing about working for that other company?
I would say the best thing would be probably just the opportunity to, in my mind, if the company were to get better, that I would have something better in the future as well.
Because you were the first guy.
Right. Pretty much that, but also, like I mentioned before, as the company grows, I grow, there's stuff to learn. I might not move forward with irrigation with that company. I might do something else, learn something new. You're always learning something, no matter what you're doing. Other than that, really, there wasn't really anything else.
Yeah, because when we sent you the offer letter, you told us that you didn't even know if you were going to continue with irrigation.
Yeah. There was just a lot of stuff that was happening there where it was just like, I don't know.
Puts a bad taste in your mouth pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like a real life example I can use would be like I had some friends that I would do stuff with and they weren't doing too well money wise. And so I would help them every once in a while with like their phone bill or covering like $20 for their rent or something like that. And it got to the point where they owed me so much where I was like, I can't pay you anything. Like, I don't have anything to give you. I need, whatever rest I have. And then you still have so much to owe me back that you said you were going to pay me back. And so it put a bad taste in my mouth of like lending money to family members or friends when they need it, because it's like, are you going to pay me back? Is this going to be taken for granted? Are you really even using it for what you're saying you're using it for? All that kind of stuff. So it was kind of like the same thing where it's like all these promises were being made of, certain things or like we're going to be improving this section or, all that kind of stuff. And I was there for almost a year and nothing changed from the time I was there, even before that, to that point when y'all gave me the offer letter. The one reason why it was like, I really didn't know if I was either going to come with y'all, stop doing it, or stay with him was like, of course, I was the only technician that was there at that point. And I told him, I was like, hey, I got an offer from another company and it's a lot better than what's here. And I don't know what to do. I think the thing that really put a stake in it as well was like, he was my friend that then I started working for. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like that, I couldn't get over the fact that there's a point where he's my friend after or before work, and there's a point where he's my boss.
Yeah,
So,
it's tough.
I did eventually get to the point where it was just like, yeah, he's a great friend. It's just, I don't know, something about him being a boss just wasn't there. So I was like, I'd rather go work for a company that I know and that I've learned from other people that, they're taking steps to move forward and they actually want to grow and they're actually listening to their employees and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
So the leadership skills weren't there.
look at him over there. He's smiling. He's like,
I was just wondering how far into the story we're going to get because there's added layers to it.
yeah, there's a lot. That's why I was wondering what you wanted to say because there's a lot more that goes into it, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just depending on what y'all are comfortable with saying. Y'all are the ones that are wrapped up in this, not I.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, unfortunately, that's something that happens in business. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't, we didn't come over there and hang your neck with a rope and say
Exactly.
you're coming with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We just
People aren't cattle, man. It's,
you had mentioned to another close friend of yours that it wasn't what you were hoping it was coming out to be.
Mm-hmm.
no, and Michael was ready to go.
And I can tell you this: I've gotten more job offers while I had a job than not having a job.
Oh, yeah.
You always get job offers,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell when you're a business owner, you got to think about that. Like your guys could be out there, like pulling up to a gas station. Another company, some like a small guy comes up and is like, "Hey, what are you getting paid? You want to come work for me?"
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's going to happen. That's happened to me. It's probably happened to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever work environment you created as a business owner is going to depend on what their answer is going to be.
Yeah, no doubt.
The same thing with side jobs too. I think we talked about this a little bit. If you're a business owner and you're creating a good work environment, you're paying your guys well enough, you're not going to have to worry about them going to a job, right? Like I can't tell you.
Oh, it happens all the time.
I don't have.
Yeah. Anything you want to do outside of the business?
Yeah, hey, I tell you what, that seems a little high. Won't you come out here Saturday and I'll pay you half of that? Like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like if I'm not getting paid very well and you're a dickhead, that guy looks at me and says, "Hey, you telling me this is $1,900? Come out here on Saturday. I'll pay you $1,000. I'm going.
Hell yeah,
I'm
you going?
I don't like you. I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing.
And I'm using your crap too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm putting all that in, but that's kind of the one thing I would I would say to the person y'all are worried about. It sucks. It sucks the way it happened. I do have a little sympathy for it. I know how he probably feels about it, but at the same time, I would like for this to be learned upon.
Hopefully it has. I mean, I've talked to him since then. People might be wondering what's going on. I mean, this guy we're talking about, Ethan's old boss, him and I were friends before he.
That was a whole other crazy thing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you this: I do like him.
I like Ben too.
Like I said, he's a great friend. He's a great guy to have around, hang out with, talk to, whatever. But it's just, I don't know. He might have learned from it since then, but at that point, it just wasn't connecting.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because we're sitting in a podcast that teaches people.
Mm-hmm.
This should be something decent to take from. Whether you have ill feelings about it or not, you should take from this that. Maybe there was some fault on our end, maybe there was some fault on your end, but ultimately the chain of events started from fault on his end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And basically what I'll tell him this. No matter whatever you feel about it is fine, I understand. But what you need to do is you need to at least think about the fact that this happened and maybe think about the fact of it happening again.
Mm-hmm.
And not from us, from somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And think about the fact, he at least knew what happened.
Mm-hmm.
You could have a guy somebody else could offer me a job doing what I'm doing. It pays more. If I don't like you, I'm just going to look at you and be like, "Hey, I'm putting my 2 weeks in. I quit."
Yeah.
And you can say why all you want. I don't have to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're sitting here, I'm gone. You're trying to find somebody to replace me. You're like, "Man, I wish I knew why he quit, so I could fix it from happening again."
Exactly.
There may not be anything you can do in the present, but you can, okay, I know not to do that again.
Yeah.
You know, and he's probably, and I know he's probably thinking, oh, we're the assholes. I mean, we are, but there's something there to take from it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully you learned something then. At the time, I don't know so much. Yeah, because we used to do like joint trainings together and everything. Y'all would come in. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and and that's another thing too. Like, y'all can be scared all you want. I'm just going to tell him. You know, we did that joint meeting up in McKinney when you guys and Ben came over, and he's sitting here telling us later, like, yeah, I'm never doing any of this stuff again with any other company. And it's like, we didn't do anything. You brought your guys in and sat them down with our guys, and they're talking amongst themselves while we're getting this freaking meeting set up, and they're talking about pay, opportunities, what's going on, what the work environment's like, and these two guys are sitting there like, dang.
The difference between
difference, yeah.
Exactly. Well, especially me, because the other guy had already been here.
Yeah,
So,
Michael was already here once.
Well, even still, the environment had changed since he'd been there.
Yeah, it changed a lot.
Yeah, and it's like, and I felt bad for Michael because I talked to Michael once he, you know, right before this happened, and I felt bad for him because he was like, man, it kind of sucks because I got to kind of, he was like, he even admitted it. He was like, I did this to myself. He was like, I got to watch us step forward for a couple years, and then I was forced to come work for him, and those steps forward that we took all that time, with him, I'm back where we started because he's where we started. So it's like I got to see all the progress and then have it taken from me.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he missed that little bit of progress we made while he was gone, and then he got to jump back in when everything was better.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, if you're not a good leader, you don't have a good work environment, you're not listening to your employees, you know, if you're going to sit them down in a room with some other people from another company, expect them, you can't just sit there and expect them not to talk, right? Because we were like getting the drawing charts out, trying to figure out what we were going to put on the whiteboard, all that stuff, and then they're all just like talking amongst themselves, like, hey, we did this, hey, we did that. And I'm sure you and Michael were sitting there like, dang.
Yeah.
Our route is 2 hours. It takes me an hour and 45 minutes to get to the next job. These guys are complaining about 20-minute drives.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, you know, again, I feel bad. I do feel bad about the whole situation. I think there was better ways that it could have been handled, but ultimately the problem started somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, he told me that he was going to still do joint trainings. He was just going to demand that. He said, next time I do a joint training with another company, I'm making it known that none of my employees, he said, I'm making it known with the other company that my employees aren't allowed to go over there and their employees aren't allowed to come over here. And I was like,
that's not going to do anything.
I said, you can't do that. These are people, man.
Yeah.
You
That's
can't,
called
like,
that's called slavery.
Yeah, I was like, these are people, man. They can make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Right.
Like even if that other company doesn't hire your guys, they can still quit and go somewhere else. Like this is
The one thing that I don't know if y'all have felt the same way about it, but doing the joint training spoke to me in a way that it was just like, this guy needs another company to tell him what to do.
Well, I see how you thought that, but that's essentially what the joint training was for, is because, you know, we all wanted to get into, you know, selling more water efficiency stuff. Ben had a lot more education and numbers on that stuff. So
he did put on a clinic.
And he put on a clinic. It was good. I really felt like we should have paid him for that, but, you know, it was good. Minus everything else, it was good for everybody. Everybody learned stuff. He brought us all those drawings. You know, it was essentially a seminar. Essentially,
yeah, it was. He did really well. I mean, we could. I guess we could have paid him. I rented out the whole place and paid for all that stuff. He just got to teach it. So
Right.
it's like,
I'll tell you what. I've never worked for him. Listening to y'all stories, I wouldn't want to work for him. But I tell you what, if he put on a class tomorrow about irrigation, I would sign up for it.
oh yeah, no doubt.
He's a great teacher. He's a great person. He's knowledgeable, and he can sell this empty Coke can to anybody.
Yeah, he can do that.
But, you know, it sounds like, you know, based off of what y'all are saying and some of the stuff we've heard about, there's might be some leadership skills to get up on there.
Right.
And I know he's going to be mad at me now, but, you know, I'm not a person that pretends to like people, and because I would want somebody to tell me the same thing. Like, hey, you fucked up on this. You should have done something different.
Yeah, I think he got a little too. I don't know. It's hard to say, really.
But it seems like, when we had him on the show all that time ago with his partner or whatever, they seem like they had it. They had all this leadership stuff down. I mean, we learned some stuff from them. I'm sure they learned some stuff from us too.
Yeah, I think he's in a different role. I don't think he's in a leadership role now necessarily. Yeah. Like I don't think he manages the guys now. I don't really know what he does.
Yeah, but it seemed like they were doing a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't. There's some people that aren't. There's some people that are just not cut out to be business owners, like somebody
I was gonna say I can name a few.
Yeah, I can name a few. There's owners, there's leaders, there's managers, and there's workers. Mm-hmm. And everybody has to have. Some people are not cut out to do any of those. Some people have a specific thing they're cut out for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Ben, he'd be a heck of a salesman.
Oh, he is a heck of a salesman.
Yeah.
He's a great teacher too.
Great teacher, great salesman, great guy, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that you could speak for his leadership and boss skills are not there.
Right.
Yeah, maybe they are there
at the point.
Yeah, at that point. He was having y'all do like sales training too at like 6 a.m., wasn't he? Or early?
Not at
7
really
a.m.
whenever.
Oh.
But it was like a little like.
I thought y'all were having to do meetings like Grant Cardone sales training
Yes.
with the guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You are correct. Yes.
Cardone
I totally
University.
forgot about that.
Yep.
No, I remember Grant Cardone. That was stupid.
Yeah, Michael called me one night or one afternoon. He was like, "Man, I do not like Grant Cardone. He was like, he is not." And this is like personal level stuff, right? This has nothing to do with business. He was just like, "Man, I'm with the way my religious beliefs tell me that this guy tells me I don't even need to be listening to this guy." And I'm like, I'm thinking about what I would think if I was in Ben's role. I would think maybe I shouldn't be wasting my money trying to make this guy listen to something he's not going to want to listen to.
That was another thing. We told him our disinterest in it. All 3 of his employees said, we do not like this guy at all.
And disobedience is one thing, but something like that, there's not, when it comes to religion and stuff like that, there's not any kind of motivation that you're going to come up with to make you guys listen to that, right? So you're just going to be sitting in there wasting his money.
Mm-hmm.
Like at some point you got to sit there and think as an owner, like, okay, I feel like they should listen to this, but I also might need to think about cutting my losses here, because if nothing I do is going to make them listen to this, maybe I need to look elsewhere.
Right. Yeah, if everybody comes and says we don't want it, then
yeah.
But I remember when he got signed up, they sold him on it. I mean, he looked into it.
It's funny when a salesman gets sold on something.
Yes.
One of Grant Cardone's salesmen got him on there at $1,500 a month on like a 3-year contract or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Here's his package, buddy." And I was like, he told me, I don't know if that was the exact numbers, but it was expensive. It was over $1,000 a month. And I was like, golly, man, for real? I was like, dude.
And
that would be worth it if y'all were actually probably going to listen to it.
Well, there wasn't much to learn from it. Literally, almost every video was just, if you have a customer that has objections, you literally get in their face and you are their best friend for however long. Like,
however long.
Anything you don't know about that person, you need to know at this moment right now. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's a good process, but I don't know that I'd want to be getting in people's faces.
It was like it was like you have to be invasive in their life to sell them stuff.
That sounds like Grant Cardone's process.
That's Grant Cardone.
They're just not going to take no for an answer.
Right.
They're going to
exactly.
stay there
it's
until
like,
you say
that
yes.
person said no like 10,000 times already. Oh, well, okay, well.
10,001 could be it.
Yeah, 10,001 could be it. Like there are some times when a customer says no, but you can tell it's like.
There's a reason they're saying no, and it has nothing to do with funds or anything like that.
Right, exactly. There are certain things you can tell and stuff like that. So, but there are some points where some customers where they just say no, here's the reason why, and it's like, that's valid. Like there's not really anything else that I can say to persuade you to actually move forward with it. And that I feel like that was one thing about that training that he was trying to get us to learn that he didn't understand himself somehow, is there are certain customers that there is no luck with. It's either they want it or they don't, and when they're set on they don't, they really don't want it. And you can't convince them otherwise.
Yep. Yeah. I still kind of struggle with that though, Because then it's like, well, why are we out here?
Right.
Why am I here if you're not gonna buy anything?
But just like
My biggest issue is like yesterday, like guy shows up, knocks on the door, doesn't get an answer for 5 minutes. His 5-year-old girl walks out and says the garage is open. I'm like, no.
That's
Well, it's just like what we were talking about earlier, the guy with the fault locate. We come out, we say, this is how much it's going to be. He says yes. I assume he said yes, and then he calls to complain about it. It's like, well, you said yes to it. You agreed. You saw the price. You understood everything, and you signed on it and said yes.
Yeah. That's called buyer's remorse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think some people just that's their whole game plan. I'm going to say yes to the technician, and then I'm calling the office to complain.
Get some sort of discount afterwards.
That's their whole game plan.
I want to see the breakdown. Like, okay, even if I had a breakdown, why would I show it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I tell customers that, well, how much is the part compared to the labor and stuff like that? I was like, I have no idea. My boss has me go buy the stuff, and I supply it in my van. That's it. I don't know how much it costs. I just know that this is how much for me to do it.
Yeah. Now you'll be able to tell them, like, I don't know, just pick it up at the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how like some of those customers, they want to call in and they want to like, I guess the next one I'm going to tell them, like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you this repair free. You come up here and run this business. We'll use your bank accounts and your money, and you can look at all the profit margin and stuff, and you tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we'll still buy everything. We'll still spend the same amount of money on marketing and, paying you guys and buying the stuff, but we're going to use your prices.
Mm-hmm.
You go through my price book and you tell me how much all this stuff would cost, and we'll see how long we can make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like some people expect, like, we're a business trying to make money. Why would you expect us not to try to make money?
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's like what we're here for.
If we get a valve for $20 or whatever, I'm not going to sell it to you for $50 and put it in. Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
No. This is a for-profit organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, nowhere on our website does it say charity.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's not a nonprofit. It's not a charity. It's a business.
If you sign up for the membership, we give to charity.
Yeah.
Great.
North Texas Food Bank. Yeah. Well, do you have anything else to add?
Not that I can think of, unless you have any other questions.
I don't think so. I think we kind of pretty much covered everything as far as that situation goes.
Yeah, I feel like I was going to say, I
have a feeling all this is going to get cut out.
No. No. I think you covered it. Like, that's why, like, a lot of people, I've seen it many times, why grow or why, like, if you want to stay solo, you can stay solo. But once you start hiring people, I think you gotta
You have to grow, because eventually, if you just hire one person and you work him to death for 10 years, he's going to be like, hey, am I ever going to get, like, promoted to do anything else? And you're just like, no, this is what you do.
Yeah, the turnover is going to be high. Like, once you decide you're growing and you hire one guy, two guys, it's on. Like, you have to be moving, because that's what just happened with Ethan is what's going to happen to you. And it's just going to keep happening. Turnover is going to be high. It takes a long time to train people. You spend 2-3 years getting them trained, getting them ready to where they're finally good, and then they're going to quit because they're going to be like, oh, in 3 years, we've made no progress.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out.
You go from a business to a company, then to a corporation.
Yeah, so.
Like, I feel like if he would have said his intent was to be some small little, like, take care of just this one little small part of the city, then I feel like that should have been known. But the intent was to grow, to service a larger area. If we're not making steps to move forward for that, then what's the point?
Well, business owners wanting to grow is kind of like, people wanting to win the lottery. If you ask anybody, not win the lottery, getting rich. If you ask anybody, they're going to say, yeah, I want to get rich. Mm-hmm. If you ask any business owner, yeah, I'd love to grow and have branches all over the country and have my name everywhere. But then it's like, just like the people you say getting rich, I'll tell you, I want to get rich, and you'll see me sitting up here not playing the lottery, not trying to figure out anything, any other way to get rich.
Right.
Same thing with business owners. They'll be sitting around like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then you look at what they're doing, it's like, you're not even trying.
Yeah.
You're trying to, as an old friend said, minimal effort, maximum results. That's what most people do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can I put just the minimum in and get the maximum? Not ever think about, what if I just put a little more in? How much more will that get me?
Right.
That's where your mindset changes. That's how you go. That's how you grow. Is instead of thinking, well, how little can I put in and just maximize the little I'm put in, instead of thinking, I'm putting just this little bit in and getting this. I wonder what would happen if I did this. I wonder that's when you start tracking KPIs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, advertising's expensive. I wonder what that'll get me.
Yeah.
I hiring another guy seems like a bad financial decision, but what will it get me? If I got another guy running around, what will that get me?
Yeah.
If I got some girl if I get some girl in here, I wonder if her booking rate's going to be higher. I wonder if she can give me more jobs. I wonder what's it going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And then, as a business owner, you got to decide, do I take the risk?
It's all about taking risks.
Almost every rich person you read about has been bankrupt once.
Yeah.
They always bounce back. Well, you're not rich.
I'm not rich. I'm crossing my fingers. I don't have to do it.
Yeah. But,
I can make it happen.
Yeah, we can make it happen. Actually, if we locked you in this room and we brought your wife up here and all 10 of us and your wife were like, hey, let's spend all the money, I guarantee you we could do it.
Oh, you could do it in an afternoon.
We could do it in about 5 minutes.
I don't need an afternoon.
What time is it? It's 1 o'clock. You could do it by 5 o'clock.
That's stretching it. I think you're shortchanging us.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's 1:08 exactly. I'll need about till 1:10.
Yeah, I need about 110. Like, hey, I want to buy a cruise ship.
Yeah. God, I'd be beating that door down.
I want to buy
all you'd hear is just.
Right. Biggest financial mistake of 2026. We're gonna buy the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, dude,
There you go.
couldn't even put an offer in on that.
I mean, we could. We'd just get returned.
Yeah.
That was one thing I thought about. I went to a Rough Riders game and I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if we did their irrigation?
Yep.
That'd be cool.
Superscapes. If you see the Superscapes trucks, they have it on the side of their trucks. Official landscaper of the Dallas Cowboys, and they do AT&T Stadium.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, we'd have to be like a full landscape company to do something like that.
Yeah, we're not. I hate landscaping.
Yeah, me too.
I like tearing it up.
Oh yeah.
I do like tearing it up.
But I think this has been a pretty successful podcast.
Yeah, I don't know how long we've been doing it.
I apologize for the 10 angry phone calls you'll get when somebody watches it.
Yeah.
That'll be all right. We'll deal with it. Yeah. Just like and subscribe. YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Send it to your friends. We're trying to keep this thing going. Be like Austin. Go from $600 to $4,100.
Yeah.
Heck
Do
yeah.
that. Hope your friends do it.
Yeah. Stop freaking charging time and materials. That drives me insane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Doesn't work.
And then once y'all stop doing that, then we don't have the problems of people like, well, I want to see the breakdown. What's your time? What's your material cost like? When did you become the business owner? Like, when did you become the price person?
Yeah, for real. And honestly, I'd rather freaking charge $4,100. That customer, I guarantee you that he's charging $4,100 is going to be one of his happiest customers.
Yep.
And I would rather deal with that guy who's mad about that fault locate price and still keep charging $4,100 than I would be charging $600.
Yeah, because if we were charging, I guarantee you, even if we went out there today and we're charging $300, even though he says, well, $300 is what I was expecting to pay, I guarantee if it was in our price book, $300 for a fault locate, he'd be calling saying, well, I feel like this should only be $100.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always some BS.
Yeah. Everybody wants to win.
Yeah. So that's it. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.